Okay, so you are welcome to our Advanced ICT 2023 Edge exam past paper discussion. So let's see, I'll show my paper first. Okay. So question number 1, what is the internet? So first, others start from. So let's see what is the internet. So we have already discussed this matter in our last chapters. Last MCQ questions, under the MCQ questions, we discussed what is internet. So internet is a network of network. I don't want to explain that one. So you know that. So network of network, initially they started with the ARPANET concept. From the ARPANET, they introduce different options. So this is a one LAN, this is another LAN. So there are many nodes. So these are this is a network, this is another network. So network of network is a meaning. What is the internet? So let's see. Okay. So what is the internet? It is a network of network. So it is the internet is as well network of network in which users at any one computer can, if they have permission, and get information from any other. So I already explained that one. Now we are connected. We have connected in the network of network. So in between two networks, my network is another, and your one is another network. So now we connected through some sort of applications or kernels. So from that one we have connected. So this is my network different, and your one is different one. So we used this kernel internet. Okay. So through internet we have connected. Fine. So let's see. Next question is, define three difference between data and informations. So this is one of the basic questions. So this is also discussed under the our MCQ part. So this is our structured part. Let's see. Next question is, define three difference between data and informations. You know that data is a raw fact, information is a process data. So from that concept, you can explain that even you can take that raw fact, data is a raw fact, information is a process data. So raw data is unorganized, that does not depend on data. So because this is a raw matter, so it is it's precise, and it is meaningless, and these things. Fine. So the information is very helpful for you to process data, organize data, and meaningful information is sufficient to make decision. These are very basic stuff, so you have learned from your O level as well. So next question, the computer network devices are physical devices which are required for communication and interaction between devices on a computer network. So in here, write down three computer network devices. So I just directly come to that point. So what do you call the computer network? So in our computer networks, assume within our frame. So I want to show that diagrams, because when we are learning, when we are going to learn about the chapter 6 networking concepts, we have to the past papers. Most of the in our past papers, they used to ask the diagrams. So the diagrams is, so how to draw that one. So it's very simple. How the network is connected. So this is our computer devices. So the devices means, in our first internet, you have connected through your router. So this is called as a router. It looks like that. So there is a two type of a router. Number one, wired router, and wireless router was also there. Okay. So there are different types of routers are there. So the router, wired router is the wireless router. So that frequency, that 150, the range, 300 range is there, 150 range is there. According to that one, the price is also might differ. This is a market rate. So under the market criteria is there, according to that frequency, it could be changed. So in here, the router, there is a wired and the wireless. The wired means you know that directly you can connect. So even nowadays we are using a dial-up router, SLT, and Hutch and so on and so forth. There is a behind there is the router number models also there. According to the models, it could be changed. So there's a yellow color port is here. So you can use the yellow color port with the yellow color lines. This is called as an Ethernet. So the Ethernet we can connect through the what do you call it, wired concept. But nowadays most of them are using a router, that wireless concept. So by using your wireless password and your link, you can connect. So now the router, we are drawing the router, the symbols, the circle, from that circle, the outside two arrows and the two inside arrows. So this is your symbol of the router. Okay. So the same way, so from the router, we are connected your internet, your network into your what do you call it, switch. So there are switches. According to the switches, the price also may vary, because the switches has what do you call that, ports. So there is a 4-port switch, 8-port switch, 16-port switch, 32-port switch, 64, and so on. So inshallah, we will discuss about this concept under the chapter 6, networking concept. So how to define that IP router, IP mappings. So when we are going to assign that IP addresses, so we will learn about this method. So இதில் ஐபி அட்ரஸுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி அந்த what do you call போர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த போர்ட்ஸுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி நாங்கள் அசைன் பண்ணிடுவோம். ஸோ அப்போ அவங்களோட ரவுட்டர், இது வயர்லெஸ் ரவுட்டர். ஸோ இந்த வயர்லெஸ் ரவுட்டர்லேருந்து நீங்கள் டிரெக்டாக கனெக்ட் பண்ணிடணும், டிரெக்ட் லைன்ஸ். ஸோ இந்த டிரெக்ட் லைனில் இதில் போர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கும். இந்த போர்ட்ஸ்ல ஒன்று நெட்வொர்க் போர்ட், நெட்வொர்க் ஐடியை யூஸ் பண்றதாയിരിക്കും. இன்னொரு போர்ட் ப்ராட்காஸ்ட் ஐடியை யூஸ் பண்றதாയിരിக்கும். ஸோ இந்த ப்ராட்காஸ்ட் ஐடி, நெட்வொர்க் ஐடியை பத்தி இன் டீட்டெயில நான் பார்ப்போம் சாப்டர் 6ல. பட் at the moment I just introduce that concept. So question number இதுல இப்படிதான் கொஸ்டின்ல இருக்கிற அந்த மெட்டர் மட்டும் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணாம அதோட இருக்கிற ரிலவெண்ட் சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸையும் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணா இட் வில் பி ஈஸி ஃபார் யூ டு லேர்ன் at once within a small questions you can learn a lot. So இதுல நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா அந்த 2 to the power நம்பர்ஸ்ல தான் உங்களோட ரவுட்டர் போர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ அப்போ அந்த ரவுட்டர் போர்ட்ஸ்ல ஒன்று ப்ராட்காஸ்ட் ஐடிக்கு போகும், இன்னொன்று நெட்வொர்க் ஐடிக்கு போகும். ஸோ அப்போ இந்த 4-port, 8-port, 16-port பத்தி நான் டீடைலா நான் சாப்டர் 6ல பார்ப்போம். பட் at the moment I introduce this concept. Fine. So இதுல உங்களோட what do you call இதுல சிம்பிள் நாங்க இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்கொயர்ல இதை யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ஓகே. So fine. So then from this network we can define another network. What you call for an example, you may use your net nodes. இதுல நிறைய கம்ப்யூட்டர்ஸை கனெக்ட் பண்ணிடலாம். ஸோ அப்போ இது வந்து லேன் 1. அது மாதிரி இன்னொரு கனெக்ஷன் இங்கேருந்து கொடுத்து இன்னொரு சுவிட்சுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணி அதுல லேன் 2 இதை யூஸ் பண்ணணும். Fine. So this is how the network is designed. This is a network map. Internet connect பண்றது. So இந்த இன்டர்நெட் நாம யூஸ் பண்ணது what do you call cloud internet. இன்டர்நெட்ல நாம த்ரூ பண்ணோம். ஓகே. What are the, for an example, in the lane or two different concept use panel. So wireless router is one of the network device, switch is another network device, and switch and hub. Hub is nowadays, you know, we have already discussed that part. So what is the difference between the switch and the hub? So switch is an intelligent device. Hub is not an intelligent device. The switch is the unicast. It is directly shared to the appropriate user, the destination location. But the hub is broadcast. It is shared to all. So this is the concept. So and router. So you know that router. So those days you use they used hubs, but nowadays the switch is the main role, and router is another example. Fine. So these are the different number ports are there. So what do you call the broadcast ID and the network ID and the different nodes are there. You can connect through the your internet. Fine. Let's see. So the switches is multicast networking device that works under the data link layer OSI model and connects a bunch of computers or devices in a network. So you can connect it through the channel. So that multicast mean it does not mean it will be shared to all of the things. Okay, all of the network. It is a unicast and the multicast. If you are sharing a one single, not to many number of nodes, it will be shared as a multicast. Okay, but hub, it cannot be controlled. So it is a simple and cheap networking device that works under the physical layer of the OSI model. So look at this. When we are going to learn, especially chapter 6, we learn about the OSI layer. So under the OSI model layer, the switch is under the data link layer, but the hub is works as the physical layer. So this is the difference between the switch and the hub, number one. Number two, switch is a what do you call, it is a the intelligent device, but the hub is not an intelligent device because it does not filter data and does not know where the data is to be sent, which is a broadcasting. It is shared to the all network. So even everyone can see that messages, but the switch is an intelligent device. The destination location, it is sent to the appropriate destination or destinations. So then why, that's why it is a unicast or a multicast. Okay, then that's how it's working. Fine, let's see. So there are three computer network devices. And the router is a network device that operates under the network layer. Okay. So this is under the network layer. I'm not going to explain about the layers in this chapter, but the chapter 6, there is a 6.8 chapter of you have a separate lessons TCP that layers and the OSI model layer. So under the OSI model layer, this router is works as a network layer of the OSI model. Okay, no issue. So next question, difference between the batch process and the time processing with one example for each. Okay. So in your past papers 2021, which means 2022 year, and 2021, these questions are one of your past paper questions. So difference between a batch process and the time processing with one example for each. Time processing means what, and the batch processing means what. So the batches means, okay, so the batches means you are taking as a batches. Okay, so we know this is a chapter 5. Okay, so under the chapter 5, operating systems. In your operating system, there is a concept called batch processing, batch operating system, batches. So there is a serial simple process and the serial simple batch processing. So under the end multiple simple batch process and multi batch process. So under the chapter, so we will learn about the operating system according to that one. But this lessons is helpful for that chapter as well. So the batches means in your operating system, it will be taken as the job 1, job 2, job 3. I will explain it on the chapter 5 as well. But I just briefly explain about this. Job 1, job 2, job 3. So these jobs are controlled by the operator. These operators are segmented by the badges. So badge 1, so job 1, J1, J7, J9 and like that. And badge 2, so J3 and J5 likewise. These jobs are jobs. These jobs are categorized in the badges. Okay. So the real-time process is it's a real-time manner. It will be worked as a real-time manner. So this is how the concept is working. So the same way here we are not discussing. We are not going to discuss about the operating system and all. So what is the name concept called badges? So you know the badges. So for an example, in your classes there is a badges 2024 badge. So if it is a 2024 badges, they have to set the exam on that specific year, and thereafter 2025 batch, 2023 batch, and 2022 batch. So likewise these are batches. Okay, so the batches means for an example in your systems there is also a working as a batches. So in this batches means you are taking some operations you are taking some activities, and it is waiting until that you are collecting the information and all, but to complete the task is not in a real time man. Okay, you're finalizing or you are collecting that is collecting that matters tasks not to complete in a real time manner. It takes until the collections are collected a certain amount of time. Fine. So think about that one, the payroll systems. So the employees joined in the company, employee join our. So once he joined, he won't get the salary immediately. Okay. Join our salary. So thereafter, the days are taken, that presence, the attendance are taken by the system. So attendance take one it will be collected that attendance until the last moment, the month end, only the salary will be count. So this, the attendance are collected, and there is the attendance. So there is a short leave and the day off and the leave, duty leave. According to that one, the salary will be generated. So the once this month is end only, the salary will be generated. This is called as a payroll system. From that salary, they deducted the no pay, and they deducted the EPF, ETF, and they are going to deduct and some additional loans deduction, and some sort of additional OT and so on and so forth. But the last the month end only, they are calculating and finalizing the movement, finalizing that process. But until that, they are collecting by attendance, that no pay, and their leaves, and their other activities. So this is the whole process, is one of the example for the batch process. So these are collecting, these informations are collected as a batches. So these batches are finalizing when the process are completion. So when the process are being complete, so it takes as a what do you call the process, it takes to complete. So this is the batches, but the real time means immediately once the process are completed, it will be immediately updated. So for an example, now I have an ATM card. Now I am using the ATM card and taken the money. Immediately it will be updated in the in your account. So this is called as a real time. Think about that one way. If it is a batch process, the harmful that the problem will be different problems will be arise. So think now I'm taking assume now I have a 5,000 rupees at the moment. I'm taking a 4,000, and the 1,000 is pending, but still the account is not deducted, Now I am going to another point, and I can take the another the set of amounts 5,000 or 3,000, but because so it shows that account is still that 5,000. So it takes around 10 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours or month end. It is a very worst case scenario. So it's not an appropriate scenario to handle these ATM. So that's why the ATM, one of the ATM is one of the example of real time processing. Fine. So the difference between the batch process and the real-time process. So now look at this, the batch process, it is easy to handle huge amount of data as a batches. So the huge amount of data is, I already explained the payroll. So the payroll is collected attendance, their activities and so on so far, their OT and no pay and the huge amount of data, because think about the huge companies, there are many number, not the 2 or 3, 10 or 10 people are there. There is a huge number of people. The huge number of attendants are collected from first day onwards. So then the month ended, everything will be under the process. But this processing is completed once it is that completed, that badges are collected, and then only it will be worked as it. That's why the batch process, what you call that. Payroll is one of the best example. And the real time is, I already explained that ATM. So I explained that if the manner, the salary, the cash withdrawal பண்ற time and the account balance வச்சு தான் withdraw பண்ணணும். So it will be checked that withdrawal account balance, whether that one is feasible only, you can collect it, you can receive the money. But if the amount is not feasible, so there is a amount 1,000 according to the bank, there is a different amounts are there. I don't want to explain that one, but as if that 1,000, so the minimum 1,000 is hold by the bank, the hold panipa maybe. So in that time you won't be able to get the 1,000, but the remind that 1,000, that the other amount of that can be taken. So the 5,000 order balance now you are taken the 3,000, and still the balance is there 5,000, but you have taken the 3,000, means now you can go to another ATM machines and you can collect the another amount of money, because the amount is that ATM is only checking whether that feasible amount is there. If it's more than that one, it will be give a permission to take the withdrawal options are will be give. Okay, that credential will be open. Okay. So this is the problem. So real-time batch processing. I explained about the both things. So the same concepts will be in your chapter 5, operating system. Under the operating system, there is a separate session called real-time operating system and the batch processing operating system. So under the batch processing, there is a simple batch processing and the multi-batch processing. So you have a different concept. So on that time, these lessons are very helpful for you to understand what is the batch processing and what is the real-time processing. So now you know the real-time, you can feel that one, the ATM is one of the examples. And not only the ATM, we have already learned that one, the autopilot system, you are under the pilot mechanism, the auto aircraft mechanism, it should be updated immediately. Okay. In the same way, the nuclear power plant controlling that monitoring, so that is also should be maintained immediately. There's a second within a microsecond, so the second should be processed and finalized, and the report should be submitted each and every that time. That the same way CCTV. So the CCTV is also monitoring, and it does not mean that is the batches. So once the collected informations are, then it will be sent, means it's worst case scenario. So that's why the real-time process and the batch process are one of the examples. So you know it is it's collected as a batches, and so data stored and until the systems comes online to process. Okay. So the same way the payroll is also collected that badges, and finally the month end the process will be taken as a finalizing that manner. EPF, ETF, and all. Real time, and this is also one of the examples. So real time is immediately it will be working. Okay. So what is your next question is the difference between the batch process and the real time. So now the question number 1 is finalized. So the question number 2, what is the two major categories of software under licenses? And write the difference among them. Okay. You know there is a different licensing options are there. So according to the license ownership and the code remodification and the code copying and distributions options, according to that one, there's a two type of options are there. Number 1, proprietary software, the software licensing. Number 2, open source software. These are very basic subjects. So the source code is the open source means it does not mean always free. There is a commercial properties are there, and the personal users also there nowadays. So therefore the open source means the source is always available. So if you are a developer, you can simply download the software, you download the source code, and you can redistribute or re-modify, and you can modify according to your usages, according to your criteria and your environment. So the same way, open source. Another point is there, the open source forums are there. One of the open forums example is a recent past there was released a chatbot GPT. So we will learn about the chatbot GPT under the chapter 13 or something, 12. There is an autonomous and chatbot and so on and so forth. We will learn about that one on grade 13. So by the moment, the open source is the source is open. So you can simply remodify and you can use it and you can redistribute these type of software. But for the there is a commercial purposes available, that there is a different licensings are there. But especially open source means your file, your source files are open. You can simply download and remodify and redistribution. And the proprietary software, it does not, they won't provide, even when you are purchasing, even you are giving a money, you are paying something for to purchase, they won't give the source code, because that proprietary, that Microsoft, they won't be, they won't exploit their source codes. The open source, you can simply download it, even GIMP, one of the example, and Open Office, there is one of the another examples. There is a LibreOffice. So there are many softwares are there, open source. So even the MySQL, we are using this WAM, that is also open source. So you can simply download and you can use it for your personal usage. There is a criteria for the commercial purposes. But the proprietary software, you must pay the amount of money to use it, even for using that specific software to your specific purposes, even your personal or this one. There's a different type of categories are there: student version and what do you call your office version and enterprise level, and so on and so forth. So according to that one, the price also may vary. So you can collect it, but still they will never give the source code to you, and you do not have a permission to redistribute or modify that software according to your purposes or according to your criteria. This is the main subject. So only the permissions will be granted by the company for your ownership to use, not to distribute, not to redistribute, or not to your modifications. Okay, so think about that. There is a two type of softwares are there. And the under licensing, so what is the difference between the proprietary software and the open source software? So proprietary software is a computer software where the source code are not publicly available. But free software, which means open source software, It is a publicly available and you can modify. And the proprietary software, the softwares are developed and tested by the individual organization, one of the organization Microsoft, it not by the public, which means it is in that there's a in-house teams are there, the Microsoft company employees are there, developers are there. They are only working with that softwares and it will not publish to the what that community. But the free open source software, it does not mean that will be built within that company. There are many collaborative forums are there, even GitHub, and there are Stack Overflow. Likewise, there are different open collaboration. What do you call that? Forums are there. From that forums, they are sharing that thoughts and modifications and models and part of some sort of a code errors and debugging working and so on and so forth. This is working, that open source is working with the collaborative manner. But the properties in-house building or in-house developers are making this subject. And users need to valid and authenticate license to use this software. When you are opening that one, it will be pop up that licensing number and your username number, and then only you can work it. And for the this one of open source, you can simply download and you can use it according to your requirements. And to pay, you must pay to use that one, not to redistribute, only for your usages. Okay, just for your use, your personal usage. And even for the companies, there are one user, three user, and enterprise level, there is a different users options are there. And the open source software is a free of charge. You can simply download options. Okay, there are VLC Media Player, Android, and Windows, Mac OS, and so on and so forth. So what is the law that is defined the software licensing? Okay. So look at this, even your proprietary software and the open source software, if you do not have any kind of a law or law enforcement, if there is any other certain criteria to use and to make actions against that persons, if there is any other illegal activities are happening in the software industry, it will be a worst case. So they do not, they can't take an action against them if you do not have any kind of a law. So, but here we have a copyright law. Okay, under the copyright law only, they have commonly categorized into two. Okay, so this concept is started that the free open source software, proprietary software, and what are the criteria, what are the features are available for the property, what is the property and what is the free open source. Everything is based on the copyright law. Okay, so under the copyright law, they explain about all of the things. Free open software licensing both rights to the customer and therefore bundled to modify source code with the software. So even if you remodify, redistribution, whatever the things, the law enforcements are not available for that type of a software license. And the keep source code are hidden for this is the law criteria. Okay. So here, my dear students, the Copyright Act of 1976. This is the Copyright Act. Okay, especially the IT terms and IT acts, especially they announced and explained, and the arguments are happening in the United States, because most of the companies are established in that head office, especially the head office are located in the United States, California, and such a thing. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and even Apple, and likewise. Okay. So even the Tesla company, that OpenAI, and so on and so forth. The recent activities, the recent information technology companies also having their what head office in the United States. So therefore, the IT terms and copyright acts are sanctions in the United States judges that code. So in section 117 copyright acts, they will not ever ask you these type of a section and all. Just for your information only, I'm explaining. So the Copyright Act, there is a Copyright Act in 117 in the United States. Gives the owner of a particular copy of a software that explicit rights to use the software with a computer, even if you use the software with the computer required. The making of incidents, copies, or adaptations at which could otherwise potentially constitute copyright infringement. Therefore, that copy of software, hence, if the end user of software is the owner of the respective copy. Okay, so there is a legal bodies are there to control that that software redistribution and all. Okay, fine. Let's see. In Sri Lanka also available, there is an act called 36 of 2003, the Intellectual Property Act. Okay, fine. So write down the two examples of the intellectual properties. There is a, what do you call, the trademark law and the copyright law. The proprietary as a bicycles or computer is called tangible property. Just they explain about the tangible. So the tangible, they are having different laws. It is protected by the laws related to theft and damage. So if someone's taken your own property and taken them, which means that is under the theft and damage thing. But this is under the proprietary software. It's an intellectual property, which means it is an intangible part. So your intellectual matters are available. So now your knowledge is, you are using your knowledge and develop the software. Your voice, your musics, your graphic designing, your artworks and your poems and these type of things that you call as a intellectual property rights. So intellectual property rights, there is a different rights are there, and in the different rights there is a trademark law and your copyright law and so on and so forth. So let's think about the cloud. So you know the cloud computing refers to manipulate configuration. So we will explain about, I'll explain about the cloud computing from next class, inshallah. There's a IaaS, and this is also one of your main questions. So therefore, I'll explain about this this topic in our coming next online sessions, inshallah, most probably in coming Monday. If there's possibilities, we also having another session within this week. Okay, we'll see. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Okay.